Alright, people, let's get this stream started, shall we? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Let me get this queued up here. Let me move this over here. What is going on? People, hold on. Hold on. There we go. There we go. There we go. Alright, sorry people. Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back to another stream. For what all the games were today, there were a couple games that were kind of just a lull. But then we just hit a high point literally with what these final two games were tonight. Oh, there aren't any more, right? Okay, I figured there weren't any more. Because this Illinois... Because here's the thing. This is how I looked at it. This game up here, this game was super close to the second half, obviously. This game was super close till about halfway through the second. But then again, bullied. Texas bullied Gonzaga for the whole game. This game was not as close. Like, it was close, but just Gonzaga was trailing the whole time. This game was not close. Illinois, I mean, VCU's they're not lucky, but like they're kind of lucky in the ways of like Illinois. At least they weren't up by 40 in some instances. But then these last two final games of the night between Vanderbilt and Nebraska, and then High Point in Arkansas, these games were absolute cinema. They were fun to watch. So anyways, hello everybody, welcome back to another stream. Let's get this going. What I thought we could cover is basically go over some of what we saw, and then take a little look at the bracket and kind of give an update sort of, and just kind of look at, Houston and Illinois, or Michigan's going to await the winner of Texas and Alabama. I'm kind of thinking Alabama, with how much Texas Tech beat Akron, there's parts of me that think, you know what, maybe Texas Tech could win this one. Maybe they could squeak by, but then against Michigan, I don't know. I'm going to agree kind of to the sentiments of what Charles Barkley said, where from what I've seen, sort of, the most complete team is, like, not Duke, because Duke is very beatable, and we're going to get into this, and I'm going to give my thoughts on this game. But from what I've seen, Duke and Michigan State very vulnerable. Michigan just looks complete. They really do. And I'm interested to see, I want to see how Florida and Iowa go tomorrow, because there's parts of me that think if Florida just blows out Iowa and Nebraska keeps the Florida game close, there's parts of me that think, because in one of my streams I was flirting with the idea of Nebraska going all the way to the region final against Houston. I don't think that. I'm still gonna kind of lean towards the Florida-Houston aspect of the South region final. But there's parts of me where this game was not close. If this game is not close, and we saw what Florida's outcome in the SEC tournament was, like, because, yeah, they got boat raced by Vanderbilt, but it's like, if Florida cannot play a close game, there's parts of me that think Nebraska gets an upset and pulls it off. I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah, here we are, where, we got a couple more games to decide, a couple more spots. I guess let's start with, we can start with the beginning of the day and go over the first handful of games. So 95-72, I think the other reason why Chuck probably talked about, hey, they can start packing their bags for Indy, is the game, with how close this game kind of was at halftime, where I mean, 39-48 is not close, but it felt close because St. Louis's like shooting percentage was awful in the first half. Like if you see 44% and then 31%, majority of like bigger buckets came in the second half for Michigan. And it was in the second half when they just stretched the lead and then they started to run away with it. I'm curious to the biggest lead. Yeah. Look at that. 25. There was a point in this game where they were up by 25. And at that point, you kind of like, you knew, oh, okay, this one's over. Because, I mean, look at this also. Yikes. They bullied him. They were a bigger team. Lindborg, of course, he had a big game. He had his 25. I do kind of think if Avila had a bigger game, would it have been closer? Maybe it could have been like maybe 85-95, 89-95, something like that. Maybe a little closer if he had a bigger box score. Because let's go check his final stats. Yeah. Not the best game. Yeah, not the best game, which I don't think it discredits his career at all, because you guys have seen the fun nicknames. Here's the other thing. When all of your 5 stars, I wish it would just highlight the one row I wanted to, but when all of your starting 5 has double digits, that's huge. And I think that's another reason what helped Michigan start to pull away in this game is everybody was scoring. Versus you come up here and you got 3 of your starting 5, and then you have to go to the bench to get some help. So, like, there are a couple bench players here where, 2 points, 3 points, 8 points, where, okay, it's pretty even on the bench. But when they're starting 5, and then also look at this, 9 for 13. That's good shooting. 5 for 9, 7 for 12. These are efficient shooting numbers, from their starting 5. And then also from the 3 ball, 3 of 5. Really good. 3 for 5 through. So Cadeau did not. These, okay. Well, okay, I would put a little asterisk on this. And the only reason why I would is these 3 were made in the first half. None of them were made in the second half. So you can put a little asterisk there. But other than that, yeah, no, the second half effort, I mean, as you can see, kind of going to commercial breaks, just how much they started to pull away, 73-58. This play was pretty big. And again, too, the chemistry of, throwing up an alley-oop from half court, or just no other team that I've seen in this tournament has been doing that stuff. So there's parts of me where it's like, okay, yeah, they're probably gonna. I don't. It's too soon to say that I think they could win it all, but 4 teams that I've just been hammering home, and I will admit that I'm wrong on one, and the one that I was very wrong on was Gonzaga, but 4 teams that I've just kind of been hammering home was in like one of my first college basketball brackets. One of the teams that I talked about Duke playing UConn, and then like Gonzaga playing Michigan or something in the Final Four. It was one of those predictions. And the 4 teams that I keep circling and going over, the one that has impressed me the most is Michigan. And maybe it's because Michigan's just that much farther. They were the first team into the Sweet 16. But what I watched out of Michigan in their first game and then in this game, it has impressed me a lot more than what Duke has shown, for example. Because, like, we can use this as a transition to move to the next segment. You see that? See how I did that? Look at that. Look at those smooth segues. Because, I mean, it's Howard. You beat Howard by 21 points. It's like, okay, and the way I look at both of these number 1 wins is, okay, you beat a team by 21 plus. Okay, you beat a team by 50 plus. This does nothing for you. This is, just putting makeup on a pig. These wins are about as credible as football games in the first 3 weeks before we actually get into conference play. Wow. Good job, Oklahoma, for beating up, or Michigan. Good job for blowing out UTEP by 50, or Fresno State by 20, which, funny enough, Michigan in the last handful of years, they haven't been able to do that. Even in their first 3-4 weeks before they get into Big Ten play. If you've watched Michigan football and kept up with it, they barely beat even Fresno State. I was just, that one came up to mind. It took a pick six for them to win that game. It was freaking ridiculous. But you watch college football and you see through the years who Bama or Clemson or any of them are slated to go against in the first week. They roll them. They roll them, and it's not even close. But so these, yes, I mean, it's the first game in the round of 64, and it's a tournament game, but then at the same time, I think the only team, Virginia, we can throw Virginia in there. We can throw Kentucky in there. VCU. Iowa. Half of these teams, UConn a little bit, but with a tiny asterisk, because the way that UConn was able to space themselves from Furman was kind of the way that, where are they? Texas. The way Texas spaced themselves against Gonzaga. Funny enough, BYU played Texas a little bit closer. I know that it's a stretch to say that, but just when Texas took that lead in the second, it just kind of felt like we saw how the Kennesaw State game ended with Gonzaga, where it turned into foul, take two, and Gonzaga just got into foul trouble. And with the Texas game, where they would just keep extending the lead. Here, in fact, actually, let's go over here. They kept extending the lead, and it felt like, let me show you the team stats. Even with a 6-point lead, it felt too big, considering that Gonzaga at one point was up 8, and it just kind of felt like, well, you blew the lead, you're losing it. You've got one guy, kind of same with BYU and BYU hoops. You got one guy that's showing up, everybody else has to show up too, and they were. And in that kind of same statement, that's how I feel a little bit with Michigan, where let's actually go double check this. Yeah. We got 3 starters. Whoa, this is bad. Maybe it's not. Well, he did play 9 minutes. Did he get injured? Maybe he got injured or benched. I don't know. I missed the first half of this game because what was the other game that was going on during this time? Yes. No, this game. Too busy watching this game. One of these. Yeah, these games went on at the same time. These games went on at the same time. This game ended maybe. Yeah. By the time I tuned into this one, Illinois was already running away with it. Because 35-28 is still kind of close at halftime, where we can make a little bit of magic happen here. Just depending, but okay, let me get into. But where we got one guy carrying. Let's go back to the box score with Michigan. You got 5 starters with 10 plus points. Let's turn the tide here a little bit. Let's switch over to Texas versus Gonzaga. You got a full kind of complete effort where, okay, not all 5 of your starters are scoring double digits, but you got a 12-point off the bench. And then you come down here. You got 3 starters that don't make 10 points. He must have gotten injured or something, or fouled out. I don't. Maybe that was in the. Hold on, let me look at Gonzaga. Let me see if he got injured. Oh, maybe he just didn't shoot the ball. Like that could very well be something too, because he did only play 9 minutes. Fouls. Yeah, I have no clue. I have no clue why. Because this guy only played 1 minute, but I'd assume it was at the very end of the game. He played 19. It must have been foul trouble or injured, because you shoot 1 for 3, 1 for 4 technically starting the game. It's not. Yes, that's reason for maybe benching at the beginning of the game, but not for the whole game. So I would say he probably got injured. I don't know. So this probably happened in the first half. Google's not telling me nothing. I don't know why they're not saying anything, but yeah. So okay, back to it. Okay, so that's kind of my thoughts on the Texas game. It looks like Texas is going to be the Cinderella darlings of this bracket, because we got a 5 seed, 4 seed, a 6 seed, a 3 seed, a 7 seed, a 2 seed. We have no double digits. No double digit seeds except for Texas. So there's your darlings. Hold on, I'm going to take a swig real quick. All right. Okay, let's keep it rolling, shall we? The Duke game. Let's talk about Dookie. Here is the thing. I've seen a lot of comments on, and it was around here, 38-38 in the second. There were a lot of people talking about how there was a alley-oop, goaltending. Where's the goaltending? Hold on, let me... Duke goaltending. Here it is. Oh, hold on. I don't know. I don't think opening Reddit is the safest thing to do. Hold on, let me, that's funny. This has nothing to do with hockey. That is so funny. Hold on. 2 seconds. Hold on, people. Let me... Okay, here we go. So it will let me do this, but I gotta do this smart and not be stupid. Okay. If you ask the comment section, the second that TCU lost this game was on this play. Do I agree with that statement? No, because there's another stat on why I think Duke won this game and TCU ended up losing. So people called this a no call. Clearly it went off the backboard, and clearly it should have been a goaltending. What people have kind of gathered and talked about was the switch of momentum was after this play, because somebody, whether it was him or the coach, somebody got a technical, I think, for arguing with the play, which in fact, maybe if we can fast forward a little bit. And again, 50-59, it's still a 9-point game. Duke has already started to take momentum a little bit and swing with it here. I don't think that is why they lost this game. In fact, all right, let me go back over here. Okay, look at this stat. Yeah, well, you want to know why I think they lost the game? What's that big number right there? 20. Take 20 points away, 61-58. This is why I think Duke won and TCU lost. Not because of a controversial, it should have been goaltending, whatever, when you're down by 9. What I think why Duke won was because of how they doubled the free throw percentage. And I will admit, Duke out-rebounded them. Okay? Duke... But this lead, hold on, this lead was in the second half. I would say more free throws. And I think... I do think there is a part of me that think they did get bailed out a little bit by the officiating. But that'd be my takeaway of this game and this matchup, because I do think, I mean, we are sitting here at 38-40 in the 16, with 16 minutes left to go in the second, and Duke has the lead. It took till 7 minutes left in the second half for Duke to overcome the deficit that Siena put on them and take the lead. Like, again, I think Duke is very vulnerable, and they have shown that they are very vulnerable in this tournament, because they're just kind of they're not playing well. They're not playing well, to say the least. So, all right, people, let's keep this rolling, shall we? So that's the Duke TCU game. Nothing too wild. Nothing much else for this game. All right, I did not watch this game, so I do not know how this game went or ended. I'm just going to assume by the score of how it was 46-28 at half, and just staying consistent 46, then 42. I'm just going to assume that it was pretty much a throttle. Okay, let's talk about Cohen Carman. Just look, points, rebounds. This guy came off the bench too. We got to look at bench points. I think the biggest... Where are we? Damn it doesn't show it. Michigan State had over 20 points off the bench. Darn, that's not a stat, because he is a sixth man in the rotation. Here, look. Damn. This isn't accurate. Well, yeah. Oh well. That is so weird, because they were posing it. There was a graph that they posed that Michigan State had like 20 plus points off the bench. Yeah, oh well. Both of them shot in the 40s and in the 40s. The 3-ball advantage to Michigan State. Well, actually, no, advantage to Louisville. Louisville made 2 more. Oh. He started to light it up at the very end. These 2 threes were also in the second half, because he was pretty cold in the first half, and then there was a setup and an assist, and then when he drained that 3, let me go play by play here. Let's do key plays. What? Okay, fine. That doesn't. Let's do made 3-pointers. Here we go. In the second half. Do we have a halftime? Where's the halftime? There we go. Again, it was to extend the lead 50-63, but like as you could see, Louisville was starting to come back around the 50-55 mark. Yeah, because it took till about midish way through, and even then, at the very end, Louisville still kind of fought, kind of like High Point against Arkansas, where you knew who was going to win, but there was still kind of like we could, if they botch a free throw here and we turn around and sink a triple, maybe, but let me see if there were any other. Yep, there's the one. And then the other thing, too, is after he sunk this three, yes, that is when they got the largest lead, which was by 13, I believe, right? Yeah, 13. So, and then here's another, look at this. 90% of the game they were up. It was close, but then at the same time, like, the game wasn't close. It was, you kind of knew who was gonna win. Kind of like the Texas Gonzaga game. You had a feeling. Oh, okay, this is who's gonna win. Still a good game though. All right, let's move to the next one. Texas Gonzaga. We talked about that one a little bit. Illinois and VCU. We kind of touched up on this one a little bit. Hill Jr. had 17 points in this one. I think I would say if he played as well as he did against UNC, this game would have been closer. But I mean, I was sleeping on Illinois. Illinois might. I don't know. Illinois might be a team where it's like, watch out. Because, well, actually, let's go to this region. You know what would be weird? I think a lot of people put Illinois, Florida. A lot of people put Illinois, Florida. I would not be surprised if we have another kind of like weird setup situation where watch Nebraska get an upset on Florida, and then we have a new representative in the Final Four where it's like, oh my gosh, it like Nebraska, they haven't had a tournament win in their their program's history, and then the first year where they get a win was also the year they went to the Final Four. So I'm still gonna lean Houston though. Still gonna lean that way. All right. Let me do another thing here. Okay. All right, Nebraska versus Vandy. This game was back and forth the whole time. As you guys can see, it was close at halftime. It was 32-39. Ooh, I shouldn't be yawning so much. I'm not that tired. Okay. Right? Ooh. I forgot Vanderbilt had the lead at the very end. Like, this game, here's what was so cool. Here's what was which I wish it was. Oh, we got to play. Okay, hold on. We got to play. Yes. We got to play this. Okay, so let me set the. Okay, here's what was so cool about like the final transition plays and stuff of what this Nebraska game was is Vanderbilt would sink a three and then kind of offensive rebounding and kind of hard. I know hard's a weird term to use, but the first chance buckets, Nebraska, second chance buckets. I think that is what we would label it, where there were a lot of plays where Nebraska would miss their first look, but they would just out rebound Vanderbilt and then put it back in. Like that happened every single possession in the final 90 seconds of play, and it was absolutely crazy. and they'd trade 2-pointer for 2-pointer, 3 for 3. Like, it was freaking phenomenal. Here, let's see. This ended up being the game winner, sorta. Which I think they called a timeout. They called the timeout, and then here we go. Here's the final play, which again, this play was freaking ridiculous, dude. Good look, good shot. So it's in the air. It's going to be buzzer. If it's good, they win 75-74. Boom. In and out. And we can see all the surrender cobras of, because it looked good. It looked good. And the fact that it was phenomenal. It was crazy freaking ending. Which I would say this game and then the Kentucky game, those were so far in the tournament. These are the two craziest endings we've had to a game, because back to back, again, absolute legend if that goes in. Which you can see the fans too. All of them are like, oh, and then like just it was such a cool ending, such a good game. That was a good play. Yeah, let me show you. Let's go play by play here. Let's go scoring plays. Second half. All right, let me show you just the amount of back and forth it was all game. Okay. So let's go to about 10 minutes. So we got a 3-pointer to make it 49-53, 52-53, 55-55, 58-55, 57-58, 61-57, 60-61, 64-60, 64-62, 6-7-62, 67-64, 68-67, 70-68, 70-70, 72-70, another tie, and then a lead. So we have, in the final 10-ish minutes of the game, let's go from here. So in the final 10-ish minutes, we have 1 tie, 2 ties, 3 ties, and then how many lead changes? 1 lead change, 2 lead changes, 3 lead changes, 4 lead changes, 5 lead changes, 6 lead changes, 7 lead changes in just this final like it was freaking crazy. Yeah, 2 points, 2 points here, 3 points there, 2 points here, 2 points there, 2 points here, 2 points. Like it was a crazy freaking ending. It was good. Great basketball. Great freaking basketball. Let me see if there were any. The other thing too, look at, this is so cool when you see it like this. Where are all the points beyond the arc versus nitty gritty in the paint? And that actually, no. Let's do a stat here. Hold on. How did I get that view? Play by play. Okay. Play by play. Does it change with? Hold on. Reset. Done. Okay. It kind of changed it a little bit. Let's just go back to the second half. I want to see Florida. Nasty move here. You guys like hockey? If you guys like hockey, be sure to look at this. Before tip-off, bro. First 2 points of the game, Florida has a 99%. This is bullshit, bro. Look at this. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. When did it ever leave? Well, right here, 91%. 15-15. They had a chance. Unbelievable. Terrible. All right, let's go to full play-by-play. Here we go. All play types. Made 2s and made 3s. Second half. Ooh, okay. That's where a big 1, 2, 3. That is 10 buckets in the second half. That is terrible. That is terrible. That's bad. That is bad. Okay. See what I'm seeing here? Do you see what I'm seeing here? Other than a 7-footer dunking it, and then over here a little bit of hockey action. Do you see what I see? Whoever wins the paint is going to win out of the Florida game. The Florida and Nebraska game. Whoever wins the paint is going to win. Now, this is me assuming that Florida is going to get past Iowa. Guess what? Spoiler alert. I'm going to assume Florida gets past Iowa. That's what I'm just going to assume. Iowa barely beat Clemson 67-61. I'm going to assume the defending champs are going to not boat race Iowa, but at least beat them 76-55. Realistically, like, not this much. Not this much. Maybe 95-72. I don't think they'll. If they want to run up the score, I could see them reaching 90 points, but I can also see them hitting like 83, 80-ish, 80-ish to 60-ish. Like a score like this, 77-69. Wow. Now when I look at this, 81-58. It's hard to believe that TCU was tied and actually had a lead in this game. That is hard to believe when you look at the score like that. All right. But yeah, I'm going to assume that Florida's going to beat Iowa tomorrow. And winner, whoever can battle in the paint better. There we go. There's my prediction. And then, better yet, whoever can battle harder in the paint. I want to pick Nebraska so bad and just roll with that dumb fun momentum. Because here's another thing. I'm probably going to do predictions and be like, well, now it's the Sweet 16. Now I'm doing a bracket redo where we're doing predictions from there. Because I feel, and it's like this every stinking year, from the Sweet 16 on, I feel like I'm able to predict a little bit better for fun. You guys didn't see it, but one year, because every single round I do kind of like a fun new bracket, because I used to do predictions on paper and stuff. But I think it was the 2018 year. It's either the 2018 year or the 2021 year. One of those years. From the Sweet 16, I predicted everything all the way up to the national championship. You know, I think it was the 2018 year, because the only thing that I got wrong, like Villanova's side and region, predicted it all the way. Because when you go look, hold on. Yes, it was probably the 2018 year. All right. Yes, because from here, yes. So from the Sweet 16 on, I predicted, that they beat West Virginia, and it ended up being Loyola Chicago that I got wrong, but I didn't think with Florida State upsetting Xavier, I kind of thought, you got a lot of momentum here. They're probably going to get past Gonzaga, but I am a big homer for the Michigan Wolverines, so I had Michigan going all the way, and then um, I did not like Grayson Allen and Duke, so I was like, I would love to see Kansas just whoop the shit because I didn't think Clemson could win and beat Kansas. And this is also when Kansas was really like some blue blood teams have kind of fallen off as of late, which is really weird. Tar Heels are one of them. But yeah, out of Syracuse and Duke, Kansas and Clemson, Florida State, Gonzaga, Michigan, Texas A&M, Kansas and Kentucky, Loyola Chicago, and Nevada, Villanova, West Virginia, and Texas Tech and Purdue. Like out of the Sweet 16, it felt a little easier to predict it, and so the only one I got wrong though was Loyola because I thought there's no way they're getting past Kansas State, but they did not. The other year that I was thinking of was 22. Let's see. It was 22 or 21. It might have been 21. Because 21, oh my gosh, don't even look at it. 21's bracket. My 21 bracket is awful. I had Gonzaga. I might have had with Villanova and Baylor here. I might have had Nova, and then I had Michigan. Yep, I had Michigan winning this game. And then I had Illinois. I had Illinois versus Michigan in the national championship. Boy, was I wrong. Oregon State, look how far. Oregon State, here's the funny thing about Oregon State. Oregon State has been kind of a team like Arkansas that has been creeping around, and let me show you why. So there's the 21 year, and then look at, where are they? Was it 22? Nope. Maybe there was a year where quit being like that. Hold on. Dude, where'd it go? You kidding me? What? There's no way. What was there was a year where it couldn't have been just 2021. It was the year. Could have been 2018. Am I getting my years mixed up? Hold on. No, there was a year. Unbelievable. Is stupid. No, there was, okay. I feel like I'm tripping now. There was a year where this. I forgot that Nevada beat Cincinnati that year. Yeah, because there were a couple things that needed to go Loyola's way for them to, and again, phenomenal run. What? I could have sworn, was it last year? Maybe? Last year? Hold on, 2024. It was the 2024 year. But there was a year where Oregon State almost went to the Final Four. Can't find it. I cannot freaking find it. And this pisses, because I could have sworn it was back-to-back years. It was back-to-back freaking years. And I feel like I'm going in circles now. What? Hold on. Let me just look it up. Maybe it was just... Maybe it was just 2021. Well, then, was there a... hold on. 2021. Was there something that stood out? Was it their coach? You know what? Maybe I'm getting this confused. Maybe it was their coach that went... it might have been their coach. It might have been their coach that went back to back. Because, okay, he must have jumped ship and went somewhere else. Because isn't this not BYU? Purdue's head coach? No. Wait. I forgot that's what his name was. Man, not shit. Now I feel like I'm tripping, bro. I could have sworn Oregon State was in the region final this year and in 2023. I could have sworn that, because it was no, or was it West Virginia? Hold on. Oh, this is just pissing me the hell off. This is pissing me off. Now we got to do a deep dive. Now I got to go look because it's pissing me off. Okay. Yes, San Diego State upset Bama. Furman, after upsetting Virginia, lost to San Diego State, and then San Diego State played Creighton here. I picked Creighton. I also picked... I think I picked the Horns here, because this is also when Gus Johnson lookalike was the head coach at Texas, which on a stream, you can go look at it. I made a prediction after Texas lost to this right here. I made some kind of prediction because, hold on, there was a... Yes, because he was at Xavier, and then he went to Texas, and then yes, Rodney Terry. Now where's... He's at TCU. Okay, maybe it must have been the Texas versus TCU game or something. There was no. When did Texas... Hold on. Yep, it was last year. Yes, it freaking was last year. I made a prediction. You can go watch. Serious. Fact-checked. A fact-check. I just threw out, kind of like with the Hubert Davis comment, where I was like, I could see him getting fired because I don't know. Is it a fireable offense for blowing a 19-point lead? I just threw it out there into the cosmos that, you know, somebody's going to get fired from this game, because it was first four, and of course you have Texas and their expectations, you have Xavier and their expectations, which you could throw Marquette also in there, you could throw Miami as well, and Tennessee, because like these are programs that are kind of like middle tier who have expectations. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, either Xavier or Texas, like preseason, like they were predicted to go pretty far, or like in their Big East or their Big 12 respective tournaments, like they went on a little bit of a run or something of that nature. I can't remember, but I just threw it out there. Oh, someone, how crazy. What if one of these guys gets fired? And the fact that they swapped head coaches like a day or two later, like it just freaking blew my mind. Um, yes, Xavier stormed back to win. So I don't remember. Um, let's go back to team stats. Yes, they blew a 13-point lead. I don't remember it exactly, but like just this, it's starting to come back to me. It's starting to come back to me a little bit. Um, but then yeah, see, and this was in the year before, because this is them, and they played Texas won, because this is what put kind of Texas on the map, and then in came Miami, and Miami got the upset because everybody picked, from what I can remember, everybody was leaning towards Creighton, Texas, Kansas State, and UConn. I was an idiot though. I was still picking Gonzaga because my Final Four, whoever won this one was going to the Final Four. And then down here, I believe I picked that year. I think I picked Xavier. I think I was a dummy head and I picked Xavier. I don't know. Either that or Texas. I don't remember. I was a dummy head. And I picked Creighton out of this bracket because I didn't think Bama's never been good at hoops. They've always been football, and so I saw right through that. And I had Virginia. I had Virginia and Creighton, I think, in the final, because I knew Arizona was going to get right here, and it was going to be Arizona Creighton. Then I had Creighton moving on, but the fact that they couldn't even get going. Same with Missouri too. Like the fact that it got them, and this game was close too. Like they went on the little bit of their Cinderella run all the way to Sweet 16. Like it just, yeah. But yeah, I had the winner. I had the winner of this game beating Arizona here and then playing, I believe, Virginia, because I thought, okay, if Virginia gets past Furman, they're probably going to get past San Diego State, and then we have Virginia, Alabama, and Alabama's not. So I did have Virginia in the region final over there, and then I think I had Creighton from the get go, Creighton or Baylor. I'm gonna be honest, I probably was leaning Baylor. I don't remember. And then out of them, I think I was leaning Purdue, Memphis, Duke, Tennessee, Duke, Purdue, and Duke, probably Purdue, Sparty. No, Marquette. Yep, no, I picked Marquette. See, there's Marquette. I was wondering where they were. And then, because Marquette won the Big East that year. No, they didn't. Hold on. No. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They beat Xavier. Yes, they did. Okay. They did beat. Okay. Marquette. Yes, they did. And Xavier. Yes, they did. They did. They did freaking beat Xavier. Dude, I do not. That is why over. Oh my gosh. It's coming back to me. I think that is why I overlooked UConn that year. Because I had. Okay, so this breaks down. And again, tournament champs. So then I had them playing maybe Kansas State, because Kansas. So then Marquette and Kansas State, and then I remember this game because this game was good. Um, and then Marquette and Purdue, and then I had Marquette going. And so then over here, um, Kansas, yes, Kansas versus UCLA or Gonzaga, and then I was leaning UCLA. I was leaning UCLA. So then UCLA, Marquette, Creighton, and then from here, Xavier. I don't like it, but Xavier. Probably I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that overlooked UConn, and then they ended up smoking everybody. Which, fast forward. Okay, get out of the way. Um, Fast forward to now, the team that I feel like I'm overlooking. See, we haven't even gotten that far. We have not Michigan, because we haven't even gotten that far yet in the tournament for me to be like, well, I feel like, oh no, no, I know exactly what Illinois. Illinois. It would kind of by that same logic that I just went over of I've been overlooking that it'd be Illinois. Illinois because look how much they smoked out Penn and look how much they smoked out VCU. It would be them because then when they play these guys and show, oh shit, they're the real deal. Um, Again, kind of like let me walk you through how I'm thinking about it logically. So Florida beats Iowa, okay, whatever, and then we have an upset where Nebraska beats Florida, and then we have Nebraska versus Illinois. Then Illinois moves on, or to confirm, like, no, these guys are the real deal. They smoke out Houston, and then they go up against number one Florida, and they beat them too. Which, considering how UConn ran the table, that is probably what it would be. Is they don't run from Houston, kind of the same how. Where's UConn? UConn didn't run from. St. Mary's isn't the same. So we're okay. So this is where are we looking? Where are we looking here? So from the Sweet 16 on, yeah, they didn't run from Arkansas. Which, by the way, Arkansas just came off their upset of beating Kansas. So they stand there, smoke them out, and then they got Gonzaga up next. So then this would be Florida, Illinois here, and then they go right through them, and then they get in the Final Four. Oh my gosh, dude, I don't freaking know. That'd be Illinois, because again, dude, who the hell knows? Like, this could have been a blimp for Virginia, and then Virginia turns it on against Tennessee. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to quit yapping because we've been here for a while. Let me keep the stream rolling, people. Let me keep the stream rolling. Try to think, look at anything else. Other than oh, is that player healthy yet? Let me see. Is he good to go? Left ankle injury, yes. Oh, just a left ankle sprain. Okay, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I just rub some dirt on it. You'll be good. Damn. I'm still kind of feeling we will somewhat between 23 and 26. There's parts of me that feel like it has the chance and the potential to mirror. Because the other thing, I've wanted to make a video on this, but I haven't known how to approach it, because something that has kind of been talked about, which in fact, let's do a couple things. Hold on. Let's see. March Madness bracket is when people talk. I don't want this. I want the freaking bracket. It keeps. See, and then it's not giving me the official. Because this is not the bracket. It should be right here. Interactive bracket. See, because then it sends a fast link for a printable bracket. That kind of works, sort of, but not really. Let's see how that looks on the other end. No, not really. So Tennessee's a 2, Houston. Yes, I do remember. You could chalk it. I forgot Texas Tech was in the region final last year. I forgot that. But then, yeah, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-3, and then 1-1-1-1-1. Chalked it up. Because people were like, there's no way you could have a 1 seed. And I was like, yeah, you could. Let me go back to. Let's go back to here. I think. Ooh, let's even go further back. So we got a 1 and an 8. And again, Florida barely beat them. Florida barely beat them. I know some of these were garbage time buckets, but UConn did come back. Well, there's your darling right there. Arkansas, because they beat St. John's. Trying to look. Yeah, McNeese, because they beat Clemson. There weren't too many. Really? I forgot Marquette lost to New Mexico. Which again, maybe this was a fireable offense, and maybe that head coach got fired. But let me look here. This was a close game too. Michigan had such a big lead, and then they blew it. They freaking blew it. It was so funny. Oh my gosh, I forgot Ole Miss went on a run last year. What the hell? Dude, I forgot that. I freaking forgot that. That is so funny. This took a buzzer beater too. I'm just trying to think, because we're talking about Cinderellas. The point I'm going to try to make here is Cinderellas. And then we all know about 23, so we don't need to go over 23. Let's see the 20. Did the 24 bracket have too much chalk? Let me go look at the 24 bracket. UConn just bullied everybody on its way there. Look at this. Bullied. 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 Oh my gosh. Bama and Clemson was I forgot about that. That is so funny. That is so funny. See this right here? This is also why I'm not bought in on Arizona at all. This is another reason why. Oh my gosh, dude. Freaking, whoa, hold on. I forgot about this game. How did... I don't know how Michigan State lost that one. I don't remember this one. I don't remember this one either. So how they got to there, I don't remember. It's Tennessee. We do remember the NC State and their fun Cinderella run. This right here, NC State, is the exact reason why I think, which they, yeah, they just, yeah, they got outmanned by Purdue, and then UConn outmanned Purdue as well. I think NC State realistically probably be the last Cinderella team? Very much, yes, they probably could. But I think when you look back at some of the other tournaments, because this one was wacky. I don't think we're gonna have another weird wacky, because 5 seed, 9 seed, 5 seed, and a 4 seed. Let me see how many. St. John's is a 5 seed. Texas is our highest seed at the 11. If we have the same kind of tournament that this was, that would be kind of the equivalent of UCLA coming out of this bracket here, because there's your 7 seed. UCLA or St. John's, so your 7 or your 5 seed. And then down here, I'd throw Illinois, because just the name and the name, logo, and team. Or Nebraska. Probably Nebraska. Okay, so Illinois, and then I'll pick Nebraska. And then out of these guys, 6 Kentucky. I'll pick, because no, 6 Tennessee, and I'll pick Tennessee because Kentucky's been to a lot of Final Fours in their program's history. Tennessee hasn't. And then when you look at how many FAU's probably not going back to the Final Four ever. Same with San Diego State or Miami. Like, they're probably never going back. So, in that same, that's why I'd say, yeah, it'd probably be a weird team like Tennessee. But you have to, hold on though. Because with this one, we do have a blue blood here in UConn. So then we would probably pick, or maybe out of this one, we could have Michigan. So then we have Michigan, UCLA is a blue blood. So we'll pick St. John's. So like Michigan, St. John's, Texas, because there's your 11 seed. So St. John's, Texas, Michigan, and Nebraska. If we want weird and high-ranked teams, that would probably be the equivalent of what the 23 March Madness bracket was. But something that I was thinking of, because a lot of it's been swirling around and a lot of people have been talking about it, and the question that is posed is, are darlings of college basketball and Cinderella teams, are they a thing of the past, and do they exist anymore? And a lot of people said no, because people talk about the transfer portal and NIL and stuff. Guys, this year also had the transfer portal and the NIL era. NIL has been around since 2021. So when Chet Holmgren was playing basketball at Gonzaga, or Drew Timme, or Luka Garza, or Mitchell, who are some other guys that I'm thinking of, like the 21 year or the 22 year. Caleb Love from UNC to Arizona. Half the reason why, we know like the teammate stuff with that, but the other half the reason why he went to Arizona was the paycheck as well. You look at the transfer portal now, what was the biggest team to go to? Michigan, because they had the most money. With college football, one of the biggest paychecks and team that has the biggest bag is Utah and Kansas. So if you want to look at it, and Texas Tech as well too, because I think when you look at the bag and paychecks payroll wise, I believe the biggest team was LSU, Miami, Texas Tech, and um, probably Bama or something. Maybe Penn State. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But people are acting like the NIL has only been around for like the last 2 years when it's like with legislation passing and it becoming legal, that was in the fall of 2021. Because at the time, the highest paid quarterback was Bryce Young at Alabama. And then everybody was like, well, of course it's Bryce Young, which, by the way, it was probably like a 1.2. You know, in fact, let's go look it up. Let's go look it up right now. Exceeding 3.5 by the end of his career. But that was, yeah, yes, 800,000. So 800,000, because yes, 800,000, with the first, because, again, he played because he was drafted in 2023. So the 2020 season was Mac Jones, but he played the 21 and the 22 years. So 2 years. Okay. Yeah, they talked about this 800,000 was the first one. Um, anyways. But yeah. Actually, let's go look up. Hello, there it is, right there. Um, oh no, actually, no. Let's go look up who had the most, who was paying the most, highest paid. I don't want to see 20. Yeah, began July 1st, 2021. I want to see. Of course, it's Texas and Ohio State, but like at the time, like if we went into it, we hopped in our little time machine and went to the fall of 2021. College football top 50 programs. Oh my gosh, there's going to be so many ads. This is going to be a problem. Well, of course, Oregon's like number one because they, Texas A&M. You know what? Actually, it was Texas A&M. It was Texas A&M, and the reason why it was Texas A&M is remember the Bama, Jimbo Fisher, and Nick Saban when they were chirping at each other about buying players? That's who it was. It's Texas A&M. Texas A&M had the highest. Anyways, point I'm trying to make is all of this to say, to come back around to it, is in 2021, that is when buying and increasing your rosters with players and whatnot, that's when that became like kind of the norm. I would say especially now where you have players who, oh, it's not working, I'm not going to be a starter here, okay, I'm leaving. I think it became a problem this season that Riley Leonard went from Duke to Notre Dame. I will say that's like the 24 season, the start of the 2024 season, or start of the 2023 season. Either way you want to look at it. After Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, because Daniels played 2 years at LSU, I would say that is when it became like a staple of like a problem. Because like homegrown quarterbacks like your Stetson Bennett's, your J.J. McCarthy's, your who else stayed kind of true and true to their program. Um, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, like these guys did not grow on trees. I mean, even as a Sun Devil fan myself, like Sam Levitt came from Michigan State. I know that. Like Cam Scattaboo did not, wasn't, you know, grown and fed here. He started at Sac State before he came over. But like, um, people just think, like, if you ask the media thinks that the NIL has become something in the last 6 months, which is absolute horseshit. Like, if you've been paying attention, it's been around forever, and every single team has, yes, bought players, improved their rosters, and went and got big names to try to compete, which that is why I don't think the NIL portal is an issue, or paying college players in general, because if you're trying to win and you're trying to compete, like, it makes sense. That is why you're going to find Texas A&M, Bama, LSU, Clemson, Penn State, Oregon. You'll find Indiana up there, Utah, like some of the teams, Notre Dame, like that I already mentioned. You're gonna find them up. You're gonna find them up there every single year. And what's funny is you look and you see, oh, Texas A&M had the highest payroll. How many SEC championships have they won since 2021? How many bowl games? How many? Like, you see where it's like, huh, that's kind of funny. Like, you pay and then it didn't work out. But like, I think just my thoughts is, I think Cinderellas still are very relevant and can still happen in this modern day NIL era of college basketball, because look no further than 2 years ago when NC State went all the way to the Final Four, or 2 years before that when, well, not two, more like 6, but 6 years before that when Loyola Chicago went. And then even the year before this, like, just because you don't have a full roster full of guys, like how, for example, Elliot Kudrow went from North Carolina to Michigan, like, even in the 2023 bracket, you had FAU, San Diego State, you had, like, you compare those rosters and their NIL earnings against probably Bama, or you compare those roster earnings compared to, like, Duke now, or Houston, or Florida, or Arkansas, for example, because Arkansas is a really good team right now, and they're currently on a run. St. John's, UConn, like, we this whole I think half of what it is seeing UConn go back to back. I think that's a big thing. But then the other thing was watching it go chalk last year, where it was all 1 seeds and all 1 and 2 seeds, excluding number 3 seed Texas Tech because they beat Arkansas. I think that's what had everybody panicked, is, oh my gosh, there's no parity, there's no, it's going to be like this forever. So, when we fill out our brackets now, we should just fill out Florida and Houston because they're the 1 and 2. We should just pick Iowa State and Michigan and just do 1 and 2s and chalk it all up. And it's like, I think that's just what the year ended up being. And I think we're going to reevaluate every year on a year-by-year basis, because there are guys that will stay. I mean, how many super seniors do we got on Nebraska and they're in the middle of a run? Or how many, we're seeing it, Iowa State, like with the ankle injury. If he goes down and then Kentucky moves on, Kentucky versus Tennessee or Virginia, hey, there's a new team we haven't seen in a while, you know what I mean? And then Tennessee versus Michigan, there's parts of me that go, yeah, Tennessee probably could get an upset here or something, even though I feel Michigan is kind of a full, complete team. But just because, Texas is the long shot right now, and they're the darlings because they're the highest ranked team that's still in the tournament play. But like, we just assume because we had 1 year like this where it was just chalk, it's like, oh, we'll never see upsets anymore. And it's like, we saw an upset tonight. We saw 2 upsets tonight, actually. So I just think there are players that will stay loyal to their teams, and there's going to be I don't know. Like I think blaming the NIL because we don't have Cinderella teams and Cinderella runs, blaming that's not happening because of NIL and paying players. I don't think they correlate. I really don't, because if that was the case, then for then we shouldn't be having this discussion again for the next 3-4 years, and then in 3-4 years let's come back and go, oh, every region final was a 1 and a 2 seed playing each other, every final four was 1 or 2 seeds. Like that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And if we were to chalk it up and every player of everything or something, here's what's going to happen. If that was the case, Arkansas wouldn't be as far as they are. You know what I mean? Duke would have everybody. Duke, St. John's would be ranked higher, which weirdly I think they were ranked weird this time around. But like teams like Furman, North Dakota State, Northern Iowa, California Baptist, other teams in the tournament, they wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Because Houston, Illinois, Kentucky would be higher because they would have bought better players. Iowa State, Tennessee, Texas Tech, Michigan, Georgia wouldn't be here because all their funds would go towards football. Like just it, I think it's a very casual, you know, because we label all casual. I think it is a very casual statement to make, even considering that like we're 2 years removed from NC State pulling an awesome tournament run, because they beat North Carolina too in the ACC championship game and ended up being champs that year too. So I think I don't know. I think the NIL portal era, like it will get, I think what the difference will be is it will get other players from, like, let's say like Western Kentucky or Colorado or something. What I think is it would get Western Kentucky's #1 player to go play for Purdue or UConn, but it's not ultimately going to be the reason why they end up winning, because let's fast forward to this year now. Duke is the #1 overall team. And if we look at the portal budget, let's college basketball NIL budgets rankings. Let's go see. I'm going to guess Indiana, Tennessee, and Arizona are the highest spenders. Hey, guess who's not even in the tournament? Yep. Guess who's not even in the tournament? And then Texas, UConn, Arkansas, Michigan State, Kentucky. Out. Didn't even make it. Big 12 pays the most. Well, okay, never mind. They're all pretty even. They're actually all very even. We knew this, which he's injured. But you have mid-major programs like Gonzaga, Louisville, and Miami, Ohio. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is these are your highest paid, and like we fast forward to the bracket here where Duke, I'm surprised Duke's not up here. But like, let's go to Tennessee or Arizona, which you're gonna laugh at this. Hold on. You are gonna freaking laugh at this. It's like $1 million. How much? No. No, come on. No. Someone made a meme. How much because someone did the meme about how much head coach salary of 1.5. No, come on. It's not going to disclose it. But they made a meme on how Utah State's NIL roster costs like 1.3 million or something like that, and Villanova's was over 10. So something stupid like that. Which again, you go to how like it was hovering around 30 million, hovering for Utah State. So we have a $30 million roster against a $2 million roster, and the Aggies have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. So, yeah, I think, yeah. And so with Duke, I know it didn't show Duke on that list, but Duke is up there as well. But you know, you have UCLA that was not ranked, or you have Texas was up there as well, but like Miami and Purdue, they're like these teams. Again, you have one of the highest paid players, and the highest paid players, one of the highest paid rosters, and it's like these guys could get bounced by St. John's in the next round, or Arizona could lose to Utah State. That is a significant chunk less of money in the millions. So, all right, people, we're gonna end this stream. I've been yapping a little bit too long about college basketball, but I thought I'd just give my thoughts and reactions to the game tonight. Let's end it here. I thank y'all for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Oh yeah, we've almost been streaming 2 hours. Holy hell. Cool beans. We're gonna click that there. All right, people. Yeah. I don't think the NIL has ruined Cinderella's. I think it depends on the year too, as well, with Cinderella's, because I don't know. There could also be another thing. The other thing that I'm thinking of too is if there was a Cinderella this year, it would have no doubt been Miami, Ohio. And if not Miami, Ohio, definitely, well, we have Texas right now because Texas is in the middle of it. Texas is being a Cinderella, even though, it's Texas, whatever. They're an 11 seed. They just beat 3 seed Gonzaga. You have High Point, even though they lost tonight. But I don't know. There's parts of me where if you wanted a Cinderella, I think half of it also has to do with scheduling and where they are put on the bracket. Like, for example, I said I didn't understand why North Carolina was a 6th seed versus like Miami being an 11th seed. Not only an 11th seed, like they had to play in the first 4, so they went undefeated in the regular season, but then they had to play in the first 4, and not only play in the first 4, guess who's waiting if you win that? Tennessee. Seemed a little unfair. Or Purdue, where you look at Purdue's overall record and how the second half of their season went. They win the Big Ten, and all of a sudden they shoot up to a 2 seed. That was a little, okay. Or the fact that St. John's beat UConn in the Big East, but then not only are they ranked lower, 3, 4, 5, like all the seeds, like they're not a 3 seed here, which by the way, Michigan State didn't get that far in the Big Ten. So there were a couple teams where I was like, all right. Or Gonzaga, it makes sense, but like we have Big 12 champ, West Coast champ, Big 10 champ. It's like, why can't we move UConn and then put Purdue over here? Because Purdue is a 2 seed over St. John's. makes a little bit of sense. Or I don't know. I don't know. So or or even if you move, okay, you take your Gonzaga, or okay, let's take St. John's again. So 5 seed winner. I also mentioned Utah State with the Mountain West as well, where it's like, okay, good job winning the Mountain West. Now you potentially get to go play Arizona, who is the number 2 seed over. No, I think they're the 3 overall, because I think it goes Duke, Michigan, and then Arizona. But what makes Florida a number 1 seed? Or okay, here's another thing. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but you have St. John's. I think it does come down to your overall standings and your rankings, like your win-loss. Where is it? Like 34-2, 33-2, 30-6. But like, what would make? Let's scroll down here a little bit to UConn. Where's the Big East? Where the fetch is the Big East? Where the fetch? 29-6. What the hell? What makes Michigan State or Illinois or Wisconsin? Well, Wisconsin's a 5 seed as well. Purdue I get because they won the Big Ten. But Nebraska, Michigan State, and Illinois, what the hell makes them higher ranked than St. John's after winning the Big East? And you can argue and say the most competitive ACC is kind of losing its grip lately, both in football and basketball. But you got the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Big East. I would say those are the big 3 right now. I'd say the Big 12 and the ACC are kind of on equal ground a little bit. Because you look, who was going to beat Duke that year, you know? But I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm going to quit rambling, though. We gotta wrap up the stream. So, anyways, guys, that's my thoughts. Because I think, yeah, I had a couple questions. I just had a couple questions. Nothing too serious, people. But the seedings and how teams were seeded, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't. I'll admit, I was a little kind of like, And with the Cinderella statement, parts of me also think, because no Cinderella's coming out of the East. Too many gauntlets. Too many power. Like, they could win the championship. They could win the championship. They could win the championship, and either one of them could win like, there are 6 teams that legitimately could hoist the trophy in Indianapolis from the East. But then you can't make that same sentiment over here in the Midwest and go, yeah, maybe Virginia or maybe Kentucky. Because no, like, who's coming out of the Midwest? Michigan. Because who's getting in their way? Nobody. Because that is how the tournament, like, bracket kind of set up. And so there's parts of me that would say, if you wanted a Cinderella team, you should have, like, Wright State or someone to play Kentucky. I don't know. Which we could have had a Cinderella here if it wasn't for back-to-back 3. So anyways, I'm going to quit yapping. I've bored you guys enough. But thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. We had some good games. We had some damn good games. This has been fun. So we'll see who's playing tomorrow. Bruh, I don't even know. Okay. Excuse me. Miami, Purdue, St. John's. St. John's. Hey, anybody want shrimp and anybody want shrimp and fries? Sorry. 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 Focus. And then this is gonna be a good game. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about UConn, bro. They played kind of bad against Furman. So, anyways, all right, guys. We'll end the stream here. We'll do a slow pan zoom into the Hooters lady. No, sorry. Let's go back to the bracket. Sorry, the boobs caught me off guard. Sorry. All right. I'm gonna freaking end the stream here, man. I'm freaking losing it. I'm turning into a giggle sandwich. So, all right, guys. I'll see you freaking later.